This is The Pivot, where we tackle real topics that are central to our game. Today we're joined by Washington Mystics play-by-play announcer Meghan McPeak and ESPN basketball analyst Jay Bilas to talk about the 2021 Naismith Player of the Year, Paige Bueckers. Now, we know that Bueckers gets buckets. The freshman point guard was first-team All-American, Nancy Lieberman award winner, a prime example of a one-and-done player. But the draft entry restrictions for the WNBA only allows players to declare after their junior year at the earliest. Now, recently, UConn head coach Gina Auriemma weighed in on if she should be a one-and-done, saying, well, if the WNBA and their players say yes, then she should. But as of right now, the answer is no. I'm okay with the answer being yes, but I really like that the answer is no because that's what helped our game grow. So, now Meghan, I'll go to you first. How high do you think that Paige Bueckers would have gone, hypothetically, if she was to declare for the WNBA draft this past year?
I think she would have challenged Charlie Collier for the first overall pick easily. If not, she would have been a 2 or a 3 taken in that draft. You can't take and pass talent like that. You know, the addition of her to the Dallas Wings would have been fantastic. That's more scoring. You've got another floor general out there. If she had gone lower than third, I would have been surprised had she entered the draft most recently, but she definitely would have challenged Charlie Collier for that first overall #1 pick.
I agree. I think Paige Bueckers would have been the #1 overall pick given what she has accomplished and what she is going to accomplish in the game. It's just a question. I think we've dealt with this on the men's side in the NBA, and we are getting there with the WNBA. These players are better, younger than ever before, and their development doesn't need college like it used to. The fact that development, whether it's in the NBA G League or overseas, I think it's exactly the same for women in the WNBA. While their development may have been in college over the years, and that's been the history, that doesn't mean it's going to be the future. So we're going to see great players develop in different settings and develop at a very, very fast rate.
And Jay, just sticking with you on that point, should one-and-done players declare for the WNBA draft?
The issue is one of should they be allowed to, and can they be allowed to? You know, as you know, on the NBA side, there's a players union. So the NBA, in consultation with the players union in agreement, they can come to a collective bargaining agreement and decide what eligibility requirements will be for non-union members to come into the draft. I don't know the exact format of the WNBA as far as their union and their bargaining, but the WNBA clearly can set when you're eligible for the draft. Key is what's the most important time. I think we could all agree. Look, they could set a restriction and say you can't have a 15-year-old eligible for the draft, or you're not eligible for the draft until you've graduated high school. So why can't they say you're not eligible for the draft until you've played 2 or 3 years in college? Because for the WNBA, it's important, I think, to have brand names and to build those brands. And for Paige Bueckers at UConn specifically, if name, image, and likeness comes in through the NCAA, there's an argument that Paige Bueckers could make more money in college than she could if she had played in the WNBA. So those are all considerations that Paige is going to have to make herself. But the biggest question is, what's the right thing? What's the right policy to build the league and grow the game? Because for the WNBA, that's the most important consideration, not just the individual consideration of what's best for Paige Bueckers or any other player.
Yeah, and to Jay's point, if you can look at a player like Paige Bueckers or Caitlin Clark now is going to put Iowa basketball on the map because of the way that she plays, much like Paige does and continuing to do for UConn. Now you add in a player that they'll be adding to in AZ Fudd. You have name and likeness for both of them that could potentially be making a lot of money should that be the situation. But I think when it comes to the WNBA, it's going to be on the current players right now to look at the future and what they want the future of the league to be when it comes to should players be eligible to leave after that one and done season to be able to play. I also think that expanding the league can come into play in this situation too, because you only have 12 teams. You only have 144 spots. If you have more players coming out earlier than what they would expect, that means there's not as many players and availability for players to be on rosters. So I think I'd like to see the league expand as well too, to continue to build and grow this game on the women's side and have more players be able to play the game professionally here in the United States.
That's a great point. And on that note, I appreciate both of your insights today. I think players like Paige are going to push the game forward, her and many others to come. Thank you for joining us here on The Pivot.